And Lynette, I don't know you yet, but I'm Marcelo, so good to meet you.
Hi, Marcelo. Hi, and I haven't met Judy either. So nice to be.
Lynette. Good to meet you.
You too. Started the last one, the first one you did, and then I got salmonella on a trip right after that started. I've been sick since about 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
I was very, very ill, so I had to drop out of everything. I actually didn't work for a month. I was so ill. So I'm happy to be back and healthy and excited to get going again.
Wow,
that is great news, Lynette.
It's nice. You don't appreciate your health until you don't have it, right?
For sure. Yeah.
As you would know, Judy, if you've been sick for 2 weeks.
You did it.
Oh, it was terrible. You know, we were at the airport and we had to come home. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Ladero, how's it going? You on the call?
Yeah, you can hear me already. Yes, I
Yeah,
am.
there we go. It's been a while, man.
It has been a while. It's good to see the whole gang again. Most of us are here.
Yeah, likewise.
What's up, man?
Sorry, I think you're breaking up a little bit, but yeah, it's great to have you on the call. Okay, we got a good group here. So just to kind of set the stage a little bit, I wanted to show you guys just very first exactly where in the Teachable or in Divulge Academy you can go to submit a request for your questions or specific support. So I'm just going to share my screen really quickly. Okay, can everybody see that?
Nope.
It's a black screen. Oh, there we go.
You got it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so when you're in Divulge Academy here, the way it's structured, we've got all these different modules here. But for the support requests, for these calls, when you have a question and you want us to review that specific issue or question that you got, just come down here to the proper request form, and then just go through the form, submit it. It's just really, really quick, 4 questions. And then we will have all the information we need so that we can kind of be thinking about how to answer your question the best way possible so that we can give you the most valuable information and most valuable answer we can. So for any questions that you have going forward, use these forms, and anything that we talk about or any questions that you have coming into this call, I'll just be reminding everybody for any future questions, just come in here, submit a form, and that'll be very beneficial for you guys and for us to kind of be thinking through how to best serve you. So does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Perfect.
Got it.
And does everybody know how to get into the academy here and then get to these lessons here?
I do.
I do not.
Sure.
Ladero, okay. So Ladero, did you get an email to get into the academy?
I will check while we're on the call.
Yeah, and I will. I'll have Landon make sure that you're in there. I believe. Yeah. Okay. All right. Perfect. So on today's call, we kind of wanted to focus on content, and so we can do some content reviews. But first, any specific questions about how to think about content, how to approach content, the OODA method, anything like that?
I think it was too broad of a question. Sorry. That was a lot. Yeah, a question on all of it. How about that?
Say that again. Sorry, Lynette.
That was a big question. I think I don't know enough to ask a question.
Well, yeah, and that's definitely an important point, and that's what we have the academy, right? So as you go through, I mean, there's going to be kind of gaps in the way that we teach or something like that, and you might not get something. And so I would just make a note, and then you can use that, submit it in the support request within the academy, and then we can be brainstorming about ways to answer that question. Then we could, and if it's a big enough gap, we can definitely create a new training just to fill that in so that going forward, everybody knows. Well, so Lynette, let's just stay with you. How has, have you done any content around your offer? You're still working on your offer?
Still working on the offer.
Got it. Okay. Perfect.
So
It
no,
might be good to, it might be good to review. Lynette posted into the group her offer statement. It might be good to kind of go over that and talk about some maybe content ideas that she can do to get started on like the observe style.
Yeah, totally. Okay, I'll pull that up right now.
Yeah, Judy put in some really good questions to help us all think about like how, like, you know, what is an aha moment and some of those things. So it might be good just to have like a quick like discussion around those. So
thank you. Yes. Sorry, the dog.
Okay, I'm getting it pulled up here. I'll share the screen.
Wesley, stop it.
Okay. So here we go. Okay, so Lynette, you put this in about 16 hours ago yesterday. So I'll just read this. I guide stagnant professionals to break through barriers, to discover their passions and ambitions, and have life-changing aha moments, so we can create a clear path of opportunities in 60 days. So I would love to hear first, Lynette, like your thought process behind this. Provide a little bit more context for us here.
Okay. So I love working with professionals for a lot of reasons. I have owned several businesses and find that many of us get down the path and 15, 20 years into it, are like, I don't want to do this anymore. And you don't know what to do next. You kind of stagnate and worry and fret. And sometimes you know your passion, you want to do something, and a lot of times they don't. I don't know what to do next. So that's kind of the person. And professionals have the money, right? Where people who just want to change careers a lot of times don't have money. So I put professionals in there for a specific reason. People attract people that have money, right?
For sure, yeah, I think that's very smart.
And so those break through those barriers, things like self-sabotaging habits or thoughts, past whatever that's childhood or just really bad habits, or barriers within our brain is usually what it is. It's not usually the barriers out in the world, because those we can get through and we can figure out, but the ones in our brain and our psyche are the ones that hurt us the most. So when breaking through those, figuring them out, maybe breakthrough's not the word, but figuring out what's holding you back to discover those passions. And I used ambitions because goals is kind of a bad word. I don't know. A lot of people don't. And I've had, little study groups, and I don't like goals, but they're good with ambitions. So that's why I put that there. And maybe aha, I agree, is not the best word. And so that's why I added, later on in our conversation, epiphany. What are those moments that you have that we can talk through and you go, oh, because an epiphany can change your life in seconds, right? You're talking through it, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I'm never doing that again. Or I see it. Once you're aware, you usually just move on very quickly. And then what is that opportunity that's out there? Would you want to, how do you want to change your career? Do you want to retire and do something different? And let's take 60 days and do that.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah. So this is, I want to highlight a couple of Judy's questions down here. And these are, just reading through Judy's questions, I totally agree that. So this first one, what is a stagnant professional? Right. I think there's probably a better way to get at the emotion that they're feeling. Okay. That you can then, so you can pace them where they're at, right? So when you described stagnant, let's just revisit that. Professionals that have been kind of coasting, maybe, or feel like they're stuck in a maybe not a dead-end job, but a job that isn't exciting or engaging to them.
Or fulfilling, right? Many times, and
Yeah,
I've talked to many doctors. I mean, it's amazing how many doctors hate their job. And that's sad. They're not going to tell their patients that, but they really don't like their job. They're stuck in a room and they have to, you know, pound out 11, 12 patients a day, and it's so not what they got into. And so
Right.
they are feeling stuck and, what's a good word? They're feeling trapped.
That's good. That's definitely more emotionally resonant, trapped, right?
Okay.
And so I would just spend some time thinking through what are like just those basic emotions that people feel when they're in that situation.
Okay.
So trapped in itself isn't necessarily an emotion either, right?
Right.
So what is, and you just said they hate their job. So hate, that's an emotion.
It is. I mean,
That's
they love being a doctor, but they hate their job.
right. Okay. So I guide professionals who are feeling trapped. I think that definitely hits closer to that pain that they're feeling more than stagnant.
Okay.
Professionals who are feeling trapped break through barriers. And so when you were talking about barriers too, you provided a lot more context about it being in their psychology, right?
Right. Right.
And so you could even just say mental barriers, right? Or emotional barriers.
Oh, so describe it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, because that's where it all starts.
You could even talk about, because I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but a lot of times these barriers are, I would assume, are almost subconscious, right?
They are. They are
Yeah.
definitely, we were not aware. And that's why you have an epiphany, right?
Yeah, right.
You're not
And so
aware of them.
you could call that out too, right? Because if you just say, I guide professionals who are feeling trapped in their jobs to break through mental barriers, right? They might think, oh, I don't have any of those. I can just kind of blunt force my way to
Right.
a
I'm
solution.
smart. I know what I'm doing. Right. And
Yeah.
that's what happens with us professionals. Oh, we can figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. So if you call out like subconscious, right? Subconscious mental barriers that are preventing you from getting what you want, right? A fulfilling, exciting work life.
Okay.
Then you're getting closer to the reality of the situation that then they can relate to. So number one, they're feeling trapped, but also number two, oh, yes, I am feeling trapped. I think sometimes I know why I'm feeling trapped, but actually what Lynette's telling me is that it's subconscious. And if it's subconscious, I'm not aware of it, right?
Right.
So then there's like, okay, yes, I need help from Lynette to discover what these even are, right? Even just having awareness is incredibly empowering, right?
Right. And it's like, you know, hey, you have to admit it, have a problem, and and I have to figure out what that is.
Yes. Yes.
But being
So
aware,
then,
right, being aware is half the battle here. Most
yeah,
people walk through life unconscious.
right. And so I think, those two are going to be really important to connect with the people that you can help, right? And then the rest of this, I think it will flow a little bit more naturally as you get clearer about the kind of the mental and emotional state of the people you can best serve.
Okay.
Before we move on, I'd like to just kind of open this up to the whole group. Does anybody have any initial thoughts or any extra questions or context that you'd like to get from Lynette to kind of help her get more clarity on this? All right. So does that
not a question, this is Marcelo, but I love what she's saying. I almost want to take out the 60 days because I want to create more curiosity. People will ask, well, how do I do that? And then you can say, well, I got a 60-day program. But, you know, some people think, well, can I get that done in 1 week? I mean, you know, how do I, like the 60 days kind of turns me off a little bit is what I'm saying.
I had one other person say that to me too. So I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah. Is that like does it turn you off, Marcelo, just because it seems almost like too fast for this type of a change?
or too slow.
Mm.
So because all we're talking about is just finding a new path, right?
Right.
I'm not getting a new job yet. I just finding out what I want to do.
Got it.
And so unless I know the value of the 60 days, it kind of makes me think, well, how long, why does it have to take so long? You know?
Right. And it
Mhm.
actually takes usually longer than 60 days, but we can consolidate it and really get moving so you feel like you're moving on a path while we're still working on your subconscious. Because you're not going to, I'm 55 and I'm not going to clear 55 years worth of subconscious crap in
Yeah,
60 days, right?
Right.
exactly. And the thing
Yeah,
about it is
especially,
people just hearing your elevator pitch aren't going to know that. But
exactly.
if
I
you get them
agree.
into a conversation, then you can sit there and say, let me show you what I've done for other people. In 90 days, we did this. In 120 days, we did this. 60 days, we did this. And then they're like, really? Now they're like, okay, well, let's do it.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Awesome. Thanks for that feedback, Marcelo.
Yes. Thank you.
So the other thing I was thinking about too, when you get clear on that pain, I think that the end result here, you could get more concrete, right? So let's just say your ideal prospect, they come and work with you, they go through a program with you, right? Like, what is the ideal result that they are able to achieve?
Make that change that they've been really fearful. And it comes down to fear. It really does. They're make the changes, figuring it out, you know, what were you good at as a child? And, you know, this whole process we go through to figure out, okay, this is what I want to do next. Here are my barriers and here's how I'm going to get through them. And then start making those changes. Yes, I worked 60 to 90 days, whatever that is. But then my next program is the Ambition Academy. And the Ambition Academy is where it's a group of people helping each other fulfill their goals, their ambitions, right? And it's a process, you know, training and like accountability partnership and teaching how to set goals and actually achieve them. And they can stay in there as long as they want. You know,
Right.
it's prescription.
So let's keep honing in on the result for them, right? So
Okay.
we got really clear, like really specific about the emotional and mental state before, right? So
Right.
what is the mental and emotional state after the epiphany, right? Like, what is the very, very basic emotion that they feel?
Hope. I see a lot of hope and clarity. Like, you know, how when you don't know what to do, it just runs around your head and you're just, you know, fearful. And the opposite of that is you have hope and you have a clear like vision, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I don't know how exactly I'm going to do it, but I can at least figure it out now. Like, there's not all that muddled.
Yeah.
So clear and hopeful, excited. I get
Yeah.
a lot of people that are excited to move into the next stage of their life.
Mm-hmm. So I would take those 3 words and find ways to put them into this offer statement.
Okay.
Clear, hopeful, excited.
Okay.
And are you focused exclusively on like a career change?
No.
Okay.
No, because some of mine want to figure out a way to financially also, which we have, you know, a piece of that. How can I leave financially and do something I've always wanted to do, whether that's travel or, you know, go out and serve some way, help watch their grandkids. I don't know. There's a million things that people want to do. I mean, there's a million, you know, there's lots of people out there. So, but I would say a majority of people I work with, it is changing jobs or careers.
Right. And I think that, I mean, I think it would make sense to consider like kind of crystallizing that in your offer statement. And then like as people go through the process, they might initially start working with you for something like a career change and discover a lot more to it, right? But that will help you stay really focused on the people that you can best serve, while understanding that obviously you could serve a lot more people dealing with different types of things if it's not a career situation. But if you get zeroed in on that, it's going to allow you to get really clear about the types of content you can create too, which is what I kind of wanted to get to after kind of working with the offer statement a little bit. The clarity you get there, then you can start to get really precise about certain types of content where you can be really clear about doing an observe style piece of content where you're talking about a very common problem, right? And then introduce the solution that's going to get them out of that problem. So if you can tell stories about people who are going into work, just dreading going into work, they're stressed out. And while they got into it because of an initial passion for an aspect of the job, then you can tell different stories about that and then how people transform and come out of that.
Okay, got it. That makes a lot of sense.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, I think it's important for all of us too, like, is to kind of think through, like, we have our offer statements, and some of you've been, on these calls for the last like 6 to 8 months with us, right? And so you may look at this and be like, yep, I got my offer statement, right? But what's so interesting is how the market changes, how your audience changes, how like you are going to be changing. If you're doing things right, you're probably at a different level today in your business than you were 8 months ago when you wrote that offer statement. If you're doing things right, you should be elevating yourself, providing different offers, making massive transformations, right? And moving upscale. And so if you're doing that correctly, this should be, again, an evolution. And so I wanted to talk about a principle today that many of you have never heard of. It's called OODA. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go into that. But keep that in mind, that as you're going through this, like, ask yourself the same questions. Like when Lynette's like saying, oh, what is the pain or what is the emotion? Like, I want you to be thinking about every single time, like, what is yours, and write that down and refine your offer statement. Like that's what makes this mastermind extremely useful and helpful, is seeing the real life examples. I'm in other masterminds where like, for example, like Facebook ads, right? So I'll jump on a call and they'll be walking through someone else's Facebook account and I'll be like, well, it's not my account, right? And I catch myself, I'm like, oh, wait a second. Yes, I can definitely go and apply that into this account or try something over here, right? And so I just want to make sure that everybody's really aware that, like, this is super important to kind of watch like these different moments and use them and participate in that, because it's like, this is just going to help you elevate your business more and more and more, because you're going to get greater clarity, which is going to then trickle into your content, which then that content, if it's on fire, is going to do better in the ads, and then you're going to run ads and generate leads. That's the cycle. But it all starts with an offer statement and clarity in what you actually are doing, who you serve, who you help, so you can talk to them and create products and services that are going to help serve them. So I want to just kind of make sure we emphasize that. So
yeah, exactly. And just a little bit on top of that too, these are like very fundamental kind of marketing practices that affect every part of the business. And so even if you've got that offer statement, like Dallin was saying, just spending time thinking through the pain point of the people you can serve and the different stories and the context of people you actually worked with, is going to be really, really powerful to stay in touch with the state of where they're at, but that has implications for the entire market that you're serving. Let's see, Dallin. Looks like you're stuck on the screen. All right, who has another question about content, or would like to review a piece of content? Anybody want to volunteer?
I don't have anything recent, which is why I'm paused here.
Cool.
I got a bunch of recent stuff on my calendar that I'm going to be doing. And I'm speaking at a private equity little conference today in Park City that they're going to be videotaping. So I think I'm going to be able to pull some stuff out of that.
Definitely.
But that's going to be mostly educational, mostly just for building credibility, you know.
Yep.
So.
Very cool.
I can do my, if you're okay with looking over my landing page, that would be awesome.
Have you created any content, Marcelo, recently?
Yeah, I'm creating it every day right now. So if you go to 7prepsteps.com.
Yeah, I'd love to look at my landing page after you're done with Marcelo. That's a great idea.
Sevenprepsteps.com. Okay. Yeah, this will be good to review because this is the type of content that you could easily use as a baseline to create videos around.
Okay.
Let me share my screen here. Okay. So are you promoting this website then in your content?
Not yet. I'm I'm still building it, but and you can see if you click on course login, you can see an overview of what I'm building right now. Hopefully, I'll have done by this week or next week.
Cool. Perfect.
Does it go anywhere when you click on course login?
Yeah.
Oh, it does. Okay. Awesome. So you can see what I'm filming. Whoa, that's shouldn't be there. That's interesting.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. So that first video shouldn't be there. That was my place. Or
so on this landing page, do you have any specific questions?
not just how does it speak to you? Is it kind of boring? Is it like you know, obviously I do want to do what you guys were talking about and warm people up ahead of time, right? So that when they get this, I don't have to do all the selling here. But I'm planning on doing a little free course that kind of teaches people what the 7 steps are, and you know, maybe a 20-minute course, and capturing their information. When you click on that, it should have a pop-up. Does it have a pop-up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So it'll gather their info and then go from there.
Cool. Testimonials, very good. Yeah, so it's awesome that you got the testimonials right on the page. So just let's just focus in on this, the top of the full. This is going to be by far the most impactful for like getting people in.
That would be awesome.
So stop feeling vulnerable to an uncertain tomorrow. Gain peace and security today with the 7 proven steps to real emergency preparedness. And then you got the 3 bullets here. Learn what foods actually work for emergency situations and why most food solutions fail the test. Learn how to store the right amount and right types of water for emergencies. Understand the fallacy of 72-hour emergency preparedness kits and what real preparedness looks like. Okay, so I would say that there are a few kind of vague things that you could get more specific with and really kind of ramp up the curiosity.
Yeah.
For example, I would lead more with this phrase here, why most food solutions fail the test, and maybe get like almost kind of dumb down the phrasing a little bit. Why most food solutions fail the test.
I like that. That's
even
awesome.
Just getting more specific, right?
Yeah.
Like why most food expires far sooner than on the label.
I like it.
Something like that, right? So it's a lot more clear about the problem that is in the, you know, the emergency prep market, right?
Okay.
And that's a perfect, as you know, I think you've made content around that, right? That's a perfect like content topic where there's a problem that you can really describe and then start to introduce the solution. That's like a perfect observe style piece of content that you can make and then drive people to this page where you can say, I actually go into a lot more detail on, you know, in this free course, you should check it out here.
Cool.
Same thing with the water, right? Like, I understand, okay, you're saying the right amount and right types of water, but like, why, like what's wrong with the water out there, right? So spending a little bit of more time and maybe getting more specific about calling out the problem with the water solutions as well, right? Same situation there.
Yeah.
And this last bullet point, like, I don't know, this seems like the most vague. to me.
And in all reality, those were just placeholders because I don't know what I'm going to do in my video yet. But I like what you're saying. Let's see.
Yeah, well, hopefully this gives you a little bit more clarity around what you can put in here, right?
I like to ask the question too, the so you can question, right?
Yeah.
So how to store the right amounts or types of water so you can what, right? We talk about features versus benefits. The benefits is the so you can. The features are great. Like, give me a free course, great. So you can what? Like, what am I going to get from the free course, right? What is the actual benefit? Not, and we've talked about this before, like, it's not just 7 proven steps. It's like to real emergency preparedness so you can what? Like, what, like, is the next thing, right? And you kind of do that in the title there. Stop feeling vulnerable to an uncertain tomorrow. That's kind of so you can stop feeling vulnerable, right? So just keep that in mind as you're kind of creating those bullets that the so you can benefit going to really bring in the emotion and tie it back to why it's important to them to
tying it back into these dominant phrases up here, right?
Yep.
And same with so when you talk about the right types, understand what real preparedness looks like, real emergency preparedness. I think spending time like finding a way to clearly communicate in maybe more specific ways what that means, right? Like that doesn't mean anything to me, because it's kind of vague in terms of like what bad emergency preparedness looks like. I don't know how is bad emergency preparedness different from no emergency preparedness, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a difference there, right? And so I don't know what bad emergency preparedness looks like, so I don't know what real emergency preparedness looks like.
Okay.
And then you get into the details of describing that in these bullets, right? Like the food situation, the water situation, the problem with 72-hour kits, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And these are all like kind of topics and angles and things to think about in your space that you could create short videos on in that observe and orients phase to kind of dig in, and then just push people back to this page to build your list.
Cool. In all reality, I don't know what my free course is going to be yet, so I just put 3 things in there. You can refresh the page if you want to.
Oh, you got it updated?
Yeah, I just did while we were talking. Yeah,
that's good. I like that. It calls out the problem a lot more clearly.
Right way. I keep saying that. I got to change that. So
cool. Awesome.
Cool.
So the English teacher in me is going crazy. I used to
awesome.
I used to teach high school.
Yeah. Please do.
So can I help you with your so stop feeling vulnerable about an uncertain tomorrow. 2 doesn't really work there.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think I actually forgot to change that. So thank you. I was playing around with some stuff and I didn't do that.
If anybody wants me to look over anything for editor writing for for a couple of people that wrote books. So I'm pretty good at that if you need help.
Awesome. Thank you. Actually, I didn't notice I missed that. So that's perfect. You can refresh it. It's good. Should be good now.
All right. Was that helpful, Marcelo? You get some ideas?
Yeah.
Cool. Very good. All right. Who's up next? Does anybody have any questions? Or would like to review anything, landing pages, specific content?
Yeah, I'd love to review my landing page that I put together in the Funnel Marketing Summit, assuming I can figure out how to find it.
Yeah, if you've got a URL, you could drop it in the chat here.
Okay, let me see if I can find that here.
While you're finding it, McKenna, do you have any questions on like the content that you and Wendy have been creating? How is all that going?
Yeah, we could go to her business page. It's just Wendy McGee page, and we could go over the content that she's been. We're not ready for Facebook, or I didn't set up a Facebook ad yet. We were going to create some more content before we did that today. So you could just look over it and tell me, I mean, as far as like copy and stuff, I have questions about that, or videos, maybe adding some more like decide videos or whatever you want to look at. It's just Wendy McGee page.
Cool. Let's do it. Paul,
Yes.
do you have the link yet? Because if you have the link, we'll jump on that, and then let's jump over to McKenna and do a video review real quick.
I got to why don't we do McKenna, because I got to log in to click funnels and
I've got a video pulled up here. It's a little less than 5 minutes. I think we could do a content review. It looks like we'll do a quiz about what style of content it is: observe, orient, decide, or act. And then let's just have a discussion about it. So McKenna, this is the one where your mom talks about, the caption is, have you ever felt paralyzed by fear of making the wrong decision?
Okay, perfect. Let's do it.
Okay. Let's put the link in the Zoom chat here. So for anybody who hasn't done a content review on one of these calls before, we're going to take about a 5-minute break. We're all going to watch that on our own devices. So just mute yourself and then listen to it, and then we'll all jump back in and then have a discussion about it.
Where's the link? Is it in the chat?
It's in the Zoom chat.
Okay. All right, I see it.
Cool. All right, so we will see you back here in about 5 minutes.
And just make sure you mute your audio while you listen to it.
Hey, you guys. So I'm just sitting here waiting in line, and
As you guys are finishing that up, make sure that you like it and comment something on the post too. Give some love to our fellow students and peoples.
Definitely. All right, McKenna. So I would love to hear from you what you thought Wendy did really well in that video first.
So I really like this video. She is very real. Obviously she was coughing, she's so cute. I love her. But I would say this was definitely for us an observe video. I felt like it was 80% the problem, which is network marketing professionals are not choosing the right company for how successful they want to be. For example, like in one of the topics that we talk about in the group is going to be compensation plans. And if you join a company based on what your friend says, the compensation plan could totally put a ceiling or a cap on like the level of success you want to have. So she was just kind of talking about like, become the expert before you choose, you know, don't just be paralyzed by fear and not know what to choose, actually become someone who's smart, who makes decisions based on what, you know, they want out of it, what they want to be successful at, not what someone else is telling them, which is a big part of network marketing. It's very much friend referral. It's very much, you know, like who's in your network and they convince you what's best for you, but you should be the professional. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I thought it was a very, very clear, observed video, right? Oh, and Judy says, she's so real, I believe anything she says. That's awesome feedback. Judy, do you want to say a little bit more about that? See if we can get you unmuted.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I just love it that she's just so real. She just comes across like, here it is. And you probably have investigated this before and you've probably been uncomfortable, but she makes you feel like, oh yeah, there's a way to do this. In fact, I was thinking, I don't really like network marketing. I've never done it. You know, every time I've gotten in it, I hated it. It had a bunch of scumballs. And then I listen to her and I think, well, you know, maybe there's a possibility. You know, and she looks so real. You know, she just comes across with honesty and integrity, and you just feel real comfortable with her.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, Wendy's really good at, she's really comfortable in front of the camera, for sure.
Yeah.
So McKenna, what do you think she could do better on that video? Like if she were to do that same video again, what would you like, what advice would you give her to do?
I think that in some of her other videos that have done really well is she's taken a piece of or a story from her life to kind of bring it in or reel it in to kind of make it more exciting. You're nodding your head because her videos that we do that with, and we should do that on everyone because that's obviously the, you know, the system, but they do a lot better because people can relate to her. And I love that Judy said that she's so honest because the industry does have a lot of a bad reputation sometimes, but she's done this for 22 years and she's always been honest and always had integrity in it. And it's been her #1 source of income. She's been able to build like awesome businesses with it. So she loves the industry and she wants to definitely bring that opportunity to people who want it. But I definitely would say adding a story in there, or maybe, you know, kind of relating it back to her makes people feel like it's more relatable to them.
Yeah, totally. That's like the main piece of feedback that I've wrote down as well. So like, and it doesn't have to be about her. So if she doesn't necessarily relate to that paralysis, like it's really powerful to tell the story of somebody else, you know, like in that problem that she's explaining, #1, the paralysis, it's almost like you could tell the story of somebody who decided to just kind of go with their friend's recommendation, right? And then it ended really badly because they didn't just take ownership of that choice and understand kind of what they wanted out of it, and then actually analyzed the company and the compensation plan and the product to make sure that it fit with who they are, right? And so if she were able to tell a story about somebody who went down the wrong path and how it ended up versus somebody who then took control, and maybe it's the same person who then takes control and then finds a really great situation, that's going to be really, really resonant, as you know, right?
Totally. I love that. Yeah. Just even if she doesn't have a story from herself, she has plenty from other people that she should be sharing. So
absolutely. It doesn't always have to be, about her own experience. You can definitely tell other people's stories. And that's in a lot of ways that can be more powerful than relating your own story. I mean, they're both super powerful, but when she tells the story, for example, of somebody that she kind of mentored, and like it positions her as that guide, right? That we want all of your guys' prospects to see her as, right? So that story, it positions her in their mind as the guide that can help them get to where they want to go.
Okay, yes, I love that. I totally wrote that down. I think that's a big part of it. We want them to see her as the mentor or as the person that's going to help them. So definitely.
Before we move on to check out Paul's landing page, does anybody else have any feedback or insights based on that video that you want to share?
I just agree that she was very, very easy to watch and listen to on camera. That's not something that like comes easy for lots of people. I just watch her all day.
It takes a lot of practice to get there. And like Lynette made a comment too, that she was excited and passionate, but there's like some circles, right? Like going on in the conversation, like kind of going back and stuff like that. I think having a really clear story of what she wanted to share would have solved 99% of that. The other thing is an exercise that we've done with some of you before, where you take a single piece of content and you do it like 10 times, right? Or it's just literally like one after the other, hold up the phone and go through the video, really, really just kind of rapid succession. And as you go through that, you start to pick up on things like, I need to start with this, right? Okay, perfect. Next one I do, I'm going to start with that. And then it's like, oh man, I got kind of in circles and I rambled on a little bit in the middle. Okay, perfect. I'm going to hit that first thing that I need to do. And then I'm going to do no circles, right? I'm going to focus on this story. Which I think like making sure that she like got into the offer through her coughing, right? And she was funny about it too. Like she's like, well, I won't, hopefully if you join my group, I'm not going to be coughing in all the trainings in the group, right? So she really just like was really natural, but could have had some, just a little bit more refinement. And then also just in the storytelling would have solved a lot of those problems too.
Right.
Yes, I love that too. Wrote that down. That's great. Because sometimes it is hard when you get on camera. So it's better to practice a few times before maybe pushing out that content, because, you know, you get better and better as you go, and definitely like have maybe in front of her something that's like, okay, here's the story, here's this, so she can kind of go through it. And then as she goes on and makes more content, she's already very comfortable and passionate. She'll get more comfortable with the process and it becomes more clear, and she's not going back, you know, if she gets nervous or whatever, she's just very clear about what she's talking about. So I love that too.
Hey, McKenna, one more thing. Something that I do is I plan out the video and then I just write little notes of like bullet points I want to hit. And then I literally, if I'm holding the phone, I have like a tiny little, like a Post-it or like a business card, just whatever's in my car, like stuck between my fingers. So it's like right there by the camera and I can just see like bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. So it helps me stay on track.
Facebook Live.
I love that.
What'd you say?
Facebook Live hack.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's always fun to give somebody feedback that isn't on the call right now, right?
I know. She is literally in a meeting and I'm texting her like, okay, they're saying this and this. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing me. No, I hate it. But
well, McKenna, I think that the paralyzed is an amazing topic. I think that we all get paralyzed. I think if she had been really clear about what that looks like for 3 or 4 different people, because we all get paralyzed in different ways, and going in circles and coming back to paralyzed was very confusing. But I think if she'd gone paralyzed, bum, 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 whether that's a story or I've seen this, would have really bring that together. And then the other thing is the offer at the end, because the offer got really lost. It needs to be, my opinion is it needs to be at the end. So jump over. I'm excited to see you, whatever that is.
Yep.
perfect.
Yeah.
I love
getting clear on the pain and kind of digging into it a little bit more also allows you to be really clear about the solution that they're going to get in the group, right? Because yeah, I did notice that too, Lynette, where she was a little bit unclear on the benefit of joining the group. And I think she communicated it well enough, but getting that up a little bit and clear about connecting it right back to the problem that she explains and the pain that she explains in the beginning. But like Dallin was saying, that does just come with like putting in the reps. As you put in those reps, you really start to see where you might be fuzzy. So.
Totally. Thank you guys. This is great. And I think that topic can be brought back up, and she can do 3 or 4 more videos on being paralyzed, and she can follow the formula. And that is like a huge thing that people feel. So this is all great. I wrote it all down, and we'll definitely be implementing this. So
awesome. Excited to see more videos. All right, Paul. Okay, I've got your page pulled up here. Let me share it with everybody. So, okay.
Hey Mason, maybe do like a quick just one step back and explain like that we're creating all this content, and at the summit we created these pages, and we'll drop this page into the academy so you can build one of these out yourself too. But just kind of maybe give them a little context to why this page is important and that kind of stuff, just so that we're all kind of on the same.
Yeah. So at the last summit, Paul came, and what we did at the summit was we created a funnel that was kind of a combination of the scheduled call funnels that we've done in the past, and then the lead magnet funnel that we did a couple of summits ago. But this funnel is using a Facebook group as the community where it's kind of the lead magnet, right? So the idea is you're going to get all this really useful information. It's going to solve some of your problems in our Facebook group. And so then people come to this page, and it's all about kind of selling the group, and people opt in to get access to the group. Then once they're in the group, they have access to some a little bit more in-depth content. They have the community, a place to ask questions about the topic. And then from within the group, then that's where you post a link to like apply to work with you, apply and schedule a call. So that's the kind of basic overview of the funnel that we made. And then this is Paul's page that's kind of selling his group about raising money for a business. So Paul, I'd love to kind of, if you want to add anything to kind of give context to this page, that would be awesome. If not, we can just kind of dive right in.
So I'm just trying to address the pain points. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to address the pain points that entrepreneurs have when it comes to raising money. They want to raise it faster. You know, they all want to have the money yesterday. So that's a key thing. They want to be diluted less, which is means a higher valuation. And they want to do it with a lot less brain damage and time and energy. So that's what I'm trying to, that's why that headline.
Yeah, I love the headline. I think this is really powerful, and it speaks to a very specific type of entrepreneur who's at a specific place in the journey, right? And so I just wanted to get clear and make sure that this is only the type of person you want to talk to, right? So it's somebody who's maybe experienced this, right? The brain damage and energy drain, they've already kind of attempted it, versus somebody who hasn't yet. And maybe they don't understand this pain too well yet. Is that who you want to talk to? Somebody who's kind of attempted and confronted the challenge of it?
Yes. And that's a good point, because there are, I would say, a lot of entrepreneurs underestimate the pain that they're going to suffer when they go start the process. So that's why a lot of them start it, and then they get into it and they're like, oh my gosh, this is like 10 times harder than I thought, right? It's the analogy that I've used in a couple of my posts where I say a lot of entrepreneurs make the mistake of thinking that they're going to start raising money. It's a 10K race, and they show up at the start line, and it turns out to be a full Ironman.
Yeah.
And they are not prepared for it. And so it is painful, and they're going to fail. So yeah, that's there. A lot of them have not suffered the pain that haven't started. They think, I'm going to read a book, and then I'll look for something on YouTube on how to do a slide deck, and I'm good to go.
Right.
But they quickly find out they're wrong. There's,
Yeah.
None of them escape this.
Yeah, and so I really like the way that you're positioning this, because you're tapping into that. It's the really intense pain that people feel as they're trying to do it and getting educated about what that process actually looks like. And so I think that because you're talking to that, like, what you can do with your content then is to kind of open it up, and you can tell these kind of horror stories that will educate people who haven't attempted yet but are thinking about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can kind of drive home the point that it's way more difficult than most people realize. And so if they have any interest in raising capital, then they come across some of your stories that are really driving that point home. That raises your credibility a ton, and even if they haven't felt the pain yet, they see this then as a way to avoid it entirely, right?
Right. Okay.
So I think that, yeah, I would definitely just run with this. I don't think you should change it.
Okay.
But I would just.
Can I say something? Sorry, jump in here. I've worked with many clients doing this. And as you and I, Paul, I've talked about, I think brain damage is hilarious. And I think it works. And it works because we know the industry. But I think about my brand new clients, and they, like you said, Paul, they just think, oh, this is easy. I'll read a book. I'll watch YouTube. And so for them, they don't understand the brain damage like our level of understanding. So I'm concerned. That's just a concern. And maybe for me, when I watch my clients trying to raise money, it was a stress. It's huge stress. So that's the emotion I would think, we could play with.
Okay, good point. Yeah, it is very stressful. That's it.
It's everything to them. They need money now, and they need a big bunch of it. And I've had clients work 3-4 years trying to get money.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point, Lynette. So like brain damage as a phrase, as a description, you could play with that, shift it to something a little bit more direct that more people can relate to, like just overwhelming stress, right? When you say brain damage, it's maybe hard for somebody who hasn't confronted the situation to get it, right?
Well, let me ask you this question. Would you replace, so if I'm going to replace one of those, brain damage or energy drain, with overwhelming stress, would you write it without the brain damage and overwhelming stress that is typical, or without the overwhelming stress and energy drain that is typical?
I would put, from my experience, if you're asking me, I would leave the energy drain. I actually really like that, because I now think in my mind, oh yeah, how many YouTubes am I going to watch, right? And how much is that going to bring me down? Then you add the stress to it. I would leave, if it were me, the energy drain.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Okay.
But it's definitely something worth testing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's something worth testing in your content. You're going to be able to see creating content with those specific phrases in your caption and in the way that you communicate it, if it connects better with your target audience better one way or another, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
just looking through your bullet points here. So the proven Wall Street strategies I've used for 10 years as an investment banker, raising money for companies. So one thing that I always love to do, and you've done it down here, places, are there a certain number of proven strategies?
With me, it's unlimited.
Yeah. I love that. Unlimited Wall Street strategies. But
no,
what about proven?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could throw a number in there, you know. Yeah, okay. All right, I'll throw it.
I mean, these are like they're marginal improvements, but using the numbers like you have down below, it just makes it stick in somebody's mind better. Like, okay, this is like manageable to me, right? Like 3 proven Wall Street strategies. I can kind of wrap my brain around that, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Learn how to determine how much money you should raise. The simple formula we use on Wall Street every day. And the other thing, just what Dallin had mentioned earlier from Marcelo, connecting it to very clear benefits in some cases.
Right.
So like, it's just the "so you can" phrase, right?
Right. Okay.
Like a lot of these are almost like you connect it back to avoiding the pain up here, right? So you can avoid, or so you can get to where you want to go a lot faster. So you can avoid the, like, raise the process taking years and years and years, that kind of thing.
Okay, so would you recommend taking each one of those bullets and turning them into a "so you can" sentence?
Definitely, and I wouldn't necessarily like. I would just do that as a practice, right?
Yeah.
Take those in a Word document or whatever, and just go through and get clear about the benefit, because so you don't have to use that phrasing, right, to get a benefit in there, but just making sure that it's really clear that these bullets are directly connected to the most painful problems they're facing and the most exciting outcomes they're looking to achieve.
So, okay, so some of them are implied here without saying it. Like, for example, learn 8 ways to increase the value of your company so you can be diluted less and keep more of your company. But they kind of know when you increase the value of your company, you're getting diluted less and keep more of your company. So what would I do on that one?
Well, so I would broaden it out a little bit too. Tap into some of the more primal emotions, like, okay, so why do they want to increase the value of their company? Like, on a personal level, what's the motivation?
To be diluted less, have more of it, and end up with more money.
Right, and so I would just pursue that line of thinking just a few steps, a few layers deep, so they can make more money, so they can, like, why do people want to make more money? A lot of guys just enjoy the game of it, right?
Yeah.
But most people want to have more money because it's going to empower them to actually do more of what they really love to do, right? Whether it's family time or freedom to travel, whatever that is. And you don't have to put all this stuff in these bullet points. I think they're really good as they are, and I think this would work. But just understanding fundamentally how these are going to directly affect them to produce kind of the dream life that they're pursuing, right?
Well, if you increase the value of your company, you're going to attract better and higher margin investors.
Okay.
Right. Dallin, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, the only last thing I would say is that you don't have to have 5 bullet points, like 2. Like, so if you have 3 of those that really resonate, same with you, Marcel, like and all of us, when we're creating out pages, sometimes like we get really caught up on, like, and I'm not saying that you are, I'm just saying that, like, sometimes we get caught up on it and it's like, oh yeah, just trim it down. Okay, perfect, it's ready. You know what I mean? Like, do you feel like you got a couple solid ones in there? Like that can be enough to get them into the group. And that usually works really well. So that's the only last thing I'd say. So
yeah.
Okay.
Nice work, man. This is good. It's a great start.
So,
all right, Jason, we've got a meeting we got to head to.
Yep. Thanks everybody for being on the call. And just to reiterate, please go into the Academy with any questions and submit those forms. That just gives us, like I said earlier, more time to think about the question you're asking, take a look at any links that you want us to review, so that we can be a little bit more prepared and give you really, really specific valuable feedback, whether it's content, landing pages, your offer statements, things like that. So,
and so for some of you too that are just starting out, or maybe like you're not just starting out, but you're starting back over and you're kind of going through the training and just reiterating and following that process over again. Just start in the first section, right? Go into the Academy group. If you're like, I don't have access to Divulge Academy with all of the training videos and everything, if you're having a hard time getting in there, just drop a message in the Facebook group, and Landon will make sure that you have access to that. But in there, I want you to fill out your program goals. Like, I want you to get really, really clear on what you are going to be doing in here. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And then make sure you're in the group. Make sure that you schedule a kickoff call again with Landon to make sure that you know where everything's at. If you're like, I'm all set, I don't need to, I have access to everything, I know where I'm going, then you're all good, right? And then just start going through those offer foundation, like magnetic offer foundations, and start going through all of that training and review the calls and things like that. You can put it on 2x speed. You can change like how fast it is. You can listen to it on an audio version of it on each of those sections. You can download the slides, like just read through it. Like, there's a lot of different ways you can consume the information in there. And if something is just not clicking to you, like, drop something into the Facebook group. If there's something missing, then Mason and I will create training. Like, we're going to be adding to this like every single week. So just keep that in mind, that this is going to be continually upgraded. So you're going to have more than enough information. The key is now to use and leverage the group and these calls to apply the implementation. So we're not just getting more and more and more and more information. We're going to help you create tools and different things to help you move faster. But ultimately, being on these calls is going to help really move you forward. And like Mason said, submitting the request forms. So,
yep.
Cool.
All right, guys. Thanks for being on the call. And we will see you next Tuesday.
Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. See you guys.
Have a good week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.